What other things might you discuss with clients when they're buying a home? I mean, presumably we're talking things like if they want to rent the property out, rental contracts, the arrangements for renting property, wills. What other things sort of crop up in the course of these discussions?
Yeah, the renting out, basically the typical questions are, okay, once I become owner of this property, what sort of taxes I have to pay?
Yes.
The answer is you pay to the municipality, to the town hall, the property tax. In Spain is called IBI, which means Impuesto de Bienes Inmuebles. This is paid once a year, and it's not a big tax. It's very small tax. Represents sometimes 0.3 to 0.4 of the value of the property. This is roughly, and this is not really a very precise calculation that's got to be bear in mind. But with the passing of time, you realize that approximately it's around those figures. That's paid once a year, like I said. And there is also another tax, which is the imputed income tax, which is if you own a property, that depends on the use that you have, that you give to that property. If you rent it out, you pay your taxes according to the incomes that are generated from
the real incomes.
The real incomes that you are making from that rental. Once you deduct the expenses, the cost that you pay, but sometimes you don't rent out your property. You leave the property empty.
It's for you and your
family.
For
you whenever you have your holidays or your. And in that case, there is an imputed income. The imputed income is, there's a way to calculate it if you want me to treat with this guide, or you leave it for the different guide.
In the tax guide.
Yeah.
But the important thing is,
it's very small. I have to say, it's a very small tax that you paid once a year only. So it's even very much smaller than the IBI.
And is this a tax that applies wherever you come from? Does this apply to European Union citizens as well as, say, to Russians and Nigerians, or is it
same
for everybody? Okay, so that's an awful lot of stuff. How much does it cost a buyer to buy a house here in Spain? And there are two costs under. There's the miscellaneous taxes when you have to pay the stamp duties and taxes you have to pay on the purchase, and then there are the legal fees. So what would the bill for those things come to normally?
There is one estimation that is provided to the clients when having the first meeting. This is an estimation. It's not a breakdown of legal costs, because we need to see the title deeds. We need to see a number of details in order to give a precise calculation. But we can say is, in general, 2.5% and taxes. And I say 2.5% and taxes because the taxes will be very different depending on if you buy a property that is classified as resale or if you buy a new property.
Yes.
If you buy a new property, you have to pay 10% VAT and stamp duty. For instance, in this region of Spain, again, Andalucia, the stamp duty associated to VAT is 1.5%.
So it's 11.5% effectively.
Exactly. 11.5% is the group of taxes, and in addition, 2.5%. This 2.5% is the custom is 1% for the lawyers, and with this 1.5% is estimated to be sufficient to pay the notary, the land registry, and the cost of power of attorney, NI numbers, and the rest of it. In case that you buy a property that is resale.
So for a new property, then altogether, roughly 14%.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. Roughly. In case that you buy a property that is not a new property but resale, then it's not applicable VAT and stamp duty, but a different tax for the state government that is called transfer tax or stamp duty. This transfer tax in Andalusia is different than in Madrid or in other regions. In Andalusia has a sliding scale. The portion of the price from 0 to 400,000 euros is 8%. From 400,000 euros to 700 is 9%, and the rest of the price of the property exceeding 700,000 euros is 10%.
Yes. And again, on top of that, the 1.5%.
The 2.5%.
Sorry, 2.5%, my apologies.
Correct.
So something like 10 or 11% in many cases on a resale, as opposed to 14% on a new property.
In between 11% and 14%, you can cover every case.
Yes.